Hi, my name is Robert Shelide, Chief of Police for Shelby Township, and welcome to Straight Talk. With me today is Sergeant Patrick Barnard. He's in charge of our FTO program. Welcome to the show, Pat.
Thanks, Chief.
Great to have you here. Pat, how many years have you been a sergeant? How many years have you been with the township?
I've been a sergeant for 7 years, and I've been with the township for 19.
And then you worked with the another part of the township before the police department too, right?
3 years with the Parks and Rec program before I was hired into the PD.
22 years total with township?
Yeah.
Very impressive, and we thank you for your service.
No, thanks.
Now, you're in charge of one of the most sensitive positions in the department, and you were chosen for obvious reasons. One of them is your integrity, one of them is your knowledge, and then obviously your skill. Our FTO program is our field training officer program, and all new recruits who get hired have to go through a field training officer program. So can you tell us a little bit about the program specifically in general, and then we'll get into some more specific questions?
Sure. Like you said, it's mandatory training for any new police officer hired into the township. It's made mandatory through a general order that supports the FTO program. And it's basically divided into two sections. You have an in-house training section that takes place before the actual FTO program starts. The in-house program's 8 days of training, and that's when an officer comes in and they get familiarized with our computer systems, the different computer systems that they're going to be operating. They go through range qualifications, other mandatory training that they have to have before they even go out with with the FTO officers out on the road.
Okay. Well, I imagine this is probably overwhelming for a new officer coming in.
The program is 3.5 months long. The first 3 months, the new recruit is going to go out with a different FTO each month, phase 1, 2, and 3. By the end of phase 3, that's when all training is complete. The fourth phase of training is called shadow, and that's an observation phase where the first FTO then rides again with the recruit and observes what he's learned. And during that phase, there is no training. It's going to be all on the recruit to show and demonstrate that he is ready for solo patrol by demonstrating he's learned everything he needs to learn through the previous 3 months. And in the FTO's opinion, he is ready for solo patrol. And that's just not based on opinions. They are scored on DOR, daily observation reports, each time they go out with an FTO. And at the end of it, they have to at least have a 4 rating, which is the minimal acceptable rating for any officer to go into solo patrol.
Okay, thank you. And then now you're referring to the term FTO. Can you tell our residents what an FTO stands for and how they're selected?
FTO stands for Field Training Officer. The field training officer is an example that we want for our new recruits. They are a role model, and they've been chosen because they've shown that they know the job well, that they're good instructors, and they are good examples of what we want in our FTOs. There's minimal qualifications. They have to have at least 5 years on with the police department before they're considered, and they have to have an acceptable discipline record as well.
Okay, so our FTOs are the cream of our crop as far as our officers are concerned.
Yes, I think so.
Okay, and then you have a hand in selecting them when they try to interview. You're on the interview panel, right? So
right. There is an interview process. Not just me. Lieutenant Trumbo, who oversees the entire program, is also seated in the interview, and there's discussions on each of the candidates, and determinations are made and forwarded to you.
Okay. A lot of time we hire other police officers that have previous law enforcement experience. They come from other agencies. They might work 5-10 years. Some might be a year or two. Do they have to go through the FTO program also?
They do. Again, the FTO program is defined in our general orders that any new hire has to complete the FTO program. Now, when they come from another department and they have previous experience, that's really helpful. It makes our job a lot easier, but there's differences between departments in how you do things, and part of the FTO program is making sure that everybody is trained the same way so that they interact the same way on the road. Other officers can expect trainees to respond the way that they've been trained, and that's why it's important for even people with prior experience to go through a program, our FTO program, so they know how we do things here in Shelby Township.
I understand. When I was a Southfield officer, I got hired there. I'd worked in Detroit for 7 years previously, and I had to go through the FTO program, and it turned out that I ended up having a lot more experience than most of my FTOs, I think all of them. And however, I handle it well, and they handle it well. All of them understood that they're basically there to orientate me to the, to Southfield itself and the way they did things. And I think all in all, it was a good thing for me and the agency itself that I did go through the program.
Yeah, we've obviously reaped the benefits of somebody that has come from another department and has had experience. That's always a benefit. You know, sometimes you get entrenched in habits from other departments, and not all the time, but sometimes there's a conflict in learning something a different way. And that's an important part of going through the program, is to make sure that, you know, the new hires can adapt to our way of doing things.
Okay. Is the program difficult to complete, and is there a lot to learn?
There's a lot to learn in the 3.5 months, and I've already mentioned it is stressful. We do what we can to minimize the stress, but you're being critiqued on a daily basis, and you know, there's a great deal of constructive criticism thrown your way. That's hard to take for some people, but that's also part of the evaluation process, is whether people can perform under stress, whether they can learn to deal with it. Because for the first time, you know, for a new recruit that hasn't had any previous training, you know, they're coming up and dealing with difficult people that aren't necessarily doing what they ask, and they have to be able to perform. They have to be able to you know, work through those stressful situations. And sometimes, you know, that's a problem that's identified, and some people can't, you know, overcome that. And that's part of the program as well, is to show those deficiencies. Some things we can work with, and then there's some things that, after the evaluation is said and done, if the standard's not met, you have to cut people loose.
I see. And what percentage of people do we have to cut loose at our department?
That's difficult to say. To put a percentage on, I'd say anywhere between 20 and 25%.
Okay, so a significant number of people that we get in the door basically get washed out.
It's there. It's there. It's a tough program, and you know, sometimes people just can't complete it.
On June 7th, we're going to be going to the board meeting requesting to hire 5 new people. This is definitely going to put weight on the cadre. Have we had 5 people go through the program at once?
If we did, it was more than 15 years ago. I can't remember when we actually had 5 at one time. It's going to be taxing, but at the same time, when you're able to move and hire, you know, a great number at one time, it's always beneficial.
What options do we have for a recruit who's not performing up to our standards?
Well, the program knows that, you know, especially for new recruits, they're not going to come in with academy training and be able to go out on the road and perform, you know, the job the way that it needs to be done. We know that there's going to be mistakes made, and those are training opportunities. And, you know, we look at those, and we do what we can to retrain and train up an individual to a satisfactory score. If there's a problem that's identified that we believe we've thrown enough training at and we're still not getting the result that we need, we can concentrate training in the form of what's called a PIP. It's a performance improvement plan. That's where, for a period of time, whatever period of time we think we need, we'll stop the program, and we'll do concentrated training with that officer in that category of performance task. You know, whether it be, you know, let's say officer safety. You know, we'll stop the program. We'll select FTOs that are really good with officer safety concerns, and we'll sit that officer, that training officer, down, and they will go through scenarios. We'll address it every which way we can with a period of hours, training hours, that we have set aside for programs like this. Once we believe that the problems have been dealt with, or we've thrown enough time at it and trained them with what we can train them with, and they successfully complete that PIP, then they're returned to the program, and then further evaluation in those categories is done.
What is the final test for our recruits? Is there a final test or period? You talked a little bit about the shadow phase. Is that what their final test is?
That's the shadow phase, is that 2-week program following phase 3. Shadow is, there is no more training, as I mentioned before. The FTO is no longer in a uniform. He's in plain clothes. He is completely observing how that new recruit handles all radio runs, all citizen contacts, handles the job completely. They are not used as a resource. The new recruit can't ask the FTO for assistance. They have to manage their issues by themselves. And after the 2-week period, if they complete the 31 performance tasks with a score of at least 4 or better, then they're certified for solo patrol after that.
Okay. Now, moving forward to solo patrol, the person is still on probation for probably another 6, 7 months, 7.5 months. Yeah. Are we watching them closely during the probationary period, or are they totally on their own? How does that work?
No, the probationary period for new recruits continues from 1 year of date of hire. During that time following the FTO program, there's monthly reviews that are prepared by the shift supervisor. That review comes from feedback from true ride-alongs with sergeants on the shift or an FTO. They evaluate the new recruit throughout the month. They have a sit-down session. They fill out paperwork to see whether or not there's any deficiencies that we might have to go back and retrain. Sometimes there are, and sometimes the new recruit is doing well, and we don't have to necessarily go into any more training. But until the probationary period's done, we do a review each month to make sure that they're performing at the level we want them to.
Okay. Pat, you've been very informative here, letting our residents know about our FTO program, something that we're very proud of. I know we based our program off the national model, which was originally called the San Jose model. I want to commend you for your stellar running of our program, and thank you, and we look forward to the challenge of our new 5 officers we're getting in the next few weeks. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks, Chief.
And we'll see you in the future.
Very good.
We'll be back in a minute after a break.
Listen to me. I am captain of the track team. And if I'm late,
She doesn't really think she's going to get out of here, does she?
Be nice, she's new.
Hello, is anyone there? Ugh!
Wow. Even from our standards, you look awful.
Oh, sweetie, what happened?
Me? My friend Becky got to talk to this super cute boy, and I tried to act like I wasn't jealous, but I so totally was. And then out of nowhere, this concrete barrier just popped up. Maybe it was a semi.
You mean you were driving?
Yeah. I mean, I know the whole eyes on the road thing, but this was a super important text. Maybe you have to know, Becky.
Texting? Great.
But it was only like 5 seconds, and I'm a really, really fast texter, so it wasn't even a big deal. Actually, has she texted me back yet? Wow, I get like no bars in this place. I wonder if they have Wi-Fi here.
Piano, is everything okay in there?
Just a minute, Grandma.
Welcome back to Straight Talk. With me is my next guest is Officer Joe Wojcik. He's also our canine handler, and he's in charge of his partner Morpheus. I'm sure Stacy has a picture to show you of Morpheus. Joe, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Chief.
Glad to have you. Can you tell us a little bit about Morpheus, your partner?
Sure. Morpheus is almost 2 years old now. He's from the Czech Republic, black-haired German Shepherd. How we received him, a company called Shallow Creek went down to obviously the Czech Republic, and they did a series of tests. They check him for about 17 drives they're looking for in the dog, and they're checking 3 dogs in particular: a Dutch Shepherd, German Shepherds, and Belgian Malinois. Obviously, these are the 3 best dogs that law enforcement agencies go to. They have the highest drive that they're looking for. They have a great sense of smell to put in perspective. A human has about 5 million olfactory glands in their nose that help them smell, help them sense things. A dog has about 250 million, the German Shepherd in particular. So when he smells something, so you walk into a burger joint, you order a burger, you smell the burger, the dog smells the burger, the lettuce, the cheese, the pickles, everything separately. He smells it that good. He can decipher what each smell is and separate it. So the dog's pretty impressive, and it's just amazing the things that he can do.
That's incredible. And I know Morpheus went through training on his own before you started training with him. Tell us a little bit about Morpheus's training, and then tell us about when you took Morpheus over in your guys' training.
Correct. Once Morpheus was selected out of the Czech Republic as meeting those drives, he was brought back to Pennsylvania, the company called Shallow Creek, and he trained there six weeks prior to me arriving. In those 6 weeks, they put scent odor for him to track narcotics. They worked on him for tracking, building searches, area searches. They did all this before I even got there. When I got there 6 weeks later, I trained with him for another 6 weeks, and they just had to bring me up to par to where he was at. He had everything in him. I just needed to learn what he was doing, read his signs, read his tells, how he alerted, how he indicated, that sort of thing.
Okay. Now, you've been out of the training academy for about 7 months.
Correct.
Okay, you're still training with Morpheus, though?
Every week.
Okay, and how important is the training that you do with him on a weekly basis?
Training is fundamental to this position. It's very important that we get in and do training every week with him. It's 8 hours every week, every Thursday we train. I like to call this job probably the most consistent, inconsistent job that demands the most consistency. if you follow me there.
Yes, I
what
do.
what I mean by that is you can go to training 1 week and he'll track phenomenal, but then you'll do narcotic work and he'll dip a little bit. So you're going to work on your narcotic work the next week and you bring him back up, and then the next week he goes down a little bit in tracking. So you continuously have to keep on him, keep doing the training just to progress with him.
Do you think the 1 week, 1 day a week is suffice to train Morpheus, or would you like to see more training for him?
Actually, our department does more than most area departments do. We get 8 hours every week, and that's pretty much what I would ask for.
Okay. Are you getting everything you're asking for right now as a canine handler from the department?
Yes, absolutely. I had some issues with bite work, and I requested a bite suit. Now, the department supplied me with the bite suit, and I immediately began training with the bite suit.
Great.
So anything that I asked for, that I've been receiving so far, and I
Great.
appreciate that.
And that's very important. When you
Yes.
tell Morpheus to bite, I know some of our residents might get a little bit nervous, but obviously you're highly trained and so is Morpheus. And when you tell Morpheus to take somebody down, basically, he has to respond. I mean, a lot of times there's a matter of life or death situation. We had a situation in Southfield where we had a very dangerous criminal had assaulted a police officer. I think I told you the story before. Bottom line is when a canine handler was up in an attic where they found him hiding, ordered her dog to attack, the dog failed to respond and just basically did nothing. And it didn't get to me back for several days, and I realized we had a major problem, and I had to immediately try to rectify and everything. So you understand that Morpheus has to be trained and ready to go. We're not out turning Morpheus loose on residents, nothing like that at all. Bottom line is there are laws in this country, there's laws that we follow as far as protocols for when you can release the dog and everything, and it's not often, thankfully, and we have a very safe community. And it's not like you're out turning Morpheus loose, but the bottom line is if we have to, we will, correct?
Yes, we will, and he exactly knows what to do, Chief. He'll be ready when the time comes, if it comes at all, and hopefully it never does, but if it does, he'll know what to do.
Great.
So.
Okay, now let's talk about the narcotics in the community. Narcotics are a problem everywhere in this country. Obviously, we've had some problems. We've had problems with marijuana. We've had problems with heroin. What type of narcotic scent can Morpheus track? If you bring him in to go look for stuff, what can he find?
Not only our community, but other communities have the problem as well, especially the heroin problem, as you mentioned. We'll also assist other agencies, and they'll assist us if we need anything, like doing school sweeps or anything like that. But what Morpheus is trained to do is he can seek out marijuana, meth, heroin, crack, and cocaine.
What do you like best about Morpheus having him as your partner?
The best thing about Morpheus is when he finds something, the excitement that I get personally and the excitement that he gets when he finds something. He knows he's going to get his reward, but it's just amazing to see what he can do. The spaces that he finds these things in that you would never fathom that there'd be something, and then he finds it there, it's just amazing. It's just an amazing feeling.
What's Morpheus's reward?
It used to be a PVC pipe, but that was a little hard on the teeth, so I brought him down to a tug. It's about a 12-inch tug that's made out of the same material that our bite suits are made out of.
Okay. What's the worst part of having Morpheus as your partner?
The worst part, I have to say, he's just like a human at times. I mean, he's he can have a bad day, a good day, and also, like I said, the unimaginable, seeing stuff that he sees that you don't see. You need to read that. So sometimes I need to catch up with him and say, okay, well, you know what? I just have to give it a chance. There might be something in that spot which I would never think in a million years there would be. So I need to read that every time. Once we get some experience under our belt, they say about the 2-year mark is where the handler and the dog really coexist together, and you really can read the dog good. Then that's the point where everything.
What should the citizens do if they see you working a dog or working in an area and they have children and they want to approach you or approach a dog? How should they handle it?
What I'd say to that is, if you see me in the area working the dog, I'd recommend obviously staying as far away as possible from us and the dog. Give us the room because we're obviously there for a reason. He's doing his job, I'm doing my job, and just to bring a distraction in, it might cause things that I wouldn't want to see happen. If you feel the need to see the dog, we'll have open houses in the future, or there'll be demonstrations in the future. That's the way that you have to go about seeing Morpheus.
Okay, and how are the residents responding now without any pre-warning? I know we put a few things out when we first got the dog. We told the residents how to handle them. Are they overall doing a good job of?
For the most part, there'll be the occasional person that comes up to the car, but Morpheus will let them know right then and there, hey, back away, because he'll start barking pretty loud at them.
Yeah, I think he's barked at me a few times.
Oh, I'm sure he has.
And I wasn't even trying to get close to his car.
He's pretty protective of that cage.
Now, let's go on and talk about the home life. What's going on with the family and Morpheus? How are they adapting? I know you have 2 teenage children, correct?
Yep, I got 2 kids. Gets along great with them now. Kids are always playing with him. He's out in the house all day pretty much. The only time he goes into a crate is when he sleeps. I have 2 other dogs. He plays with them. I have an older dog, which she's a little old, about 12 years old, I think, and he'll roughhouse with her. So I have to break him up on occasion because it's just too much for her. But he gets along great. I mean, he's a great house dog, but when it's time to go to work, when I put the uniform on, he knows he's ready to go. He's right at my leg, trying to get to me, trying to get in the car. When I open the garage to get the police vehicle out, he shoots right under the garage before it even comes up. He knows it's time to go. You ready to go to work, bud? You ready? Oh, what are you looking for? You ready, bud? It's time to go to work. Time to go to work. Ready? Up. Oh, I was like, oh boy. Oh, you good boy.
More, like I said in the past, Morpheus is a crime fighter. He knows when he
Oh, he knows.
uniform
he knows
comes
it's
on.
time.
I love it. Any signs of aggression, any worry on your behalf at all with the children, any over aggression? Is he a perfect family dog that you don't have to be concerned about?
Yeah, he's fine at home. It's just one, like we go back to the people approaching me on the street. If you come up, he's not a family dog at that point. He knows he's at work. Okay, he's just a working dog then. So he's not the same dog at work that he is at home. So even if I was out and about on the street out here and my kids saw me, I'd tell them not even to approach me at that time because he's working. He knows what he has to do. So.
Incredible. Joe, what would you like to see accomplished as your time as a canine officer with Morpheus? I know it can last anywhere from 3, 4, 5 years up to, I think our last dog was, I think, close to 9 years old before he retired.
Yeah. Obviously, like you said, the narcotics is a huge issue in the township and the surrounding areas as well. I would like to see Morpheus and myself make an impact on the narcotics out here, especially the heroin problem that we have, and obviously confiscate a bunch of that in the future.
Okay. Now, we'll loan you out to other agencies, other departments. They need a dog, we send you.
Correct.
We have great partnerships with our different law enforcement parties, even our state and our federal partners. We've offered up your services to the DEA also, and I think you've done some work for them recently and some raids out of the township.
Correct.
How'd that work? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Phenomenal. I did a joint operation task force with the DEA, Detroit Police Department, Troy Police Department, and other canine area department or canine officers that took part in this as well. We hit about 6 or 7 houses in Detroit. We obviously took some narcotics from that. I can't disclose where we were at, what we took, or anything like that, but we were successful in what we did. Almost every month we do school sweeps for other jurisdictions as well. Like I believe we have one coming up for maybe, I think it's Troy that we got coming up, where we'll go through the schools at the request of the schools and make sure there's no narcotics in the schools. We'll go through the parking lots as well, sweep through the vehicles and the lockers.
What percentage of your job is PR, public relations, and what percentage is actual crime fighting with Morpheus?
I'd say it's about 50-50 actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know we've been trying to make some phone calls to some of our partners and let them know that hey, we have this trained crime fighter ready to roll, and everyone's very responsive. And you'll be their guy when something comes up, and I know you're up to the task.
Oh, definitely, sir. I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, training is everything, but experience is everything too. So the more experience I get, the more experience Morph gets. It just benefits everybody.
One of the things that's working out really good for us is your commander is also a former canine handler, so he understands all the troubles, issues, concerns you may have. How's your relationship with Lieutenant Trumbo?
Great. Lieutenant Trumbo is a great person to have in charge of this program. He is somebody that I can go to for help if I have any issues that need to be addressed, and he knows how to oversee the program pretty well.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that one day you'll be in charge of the program and you'll be able to use your skills and knowledge and pass on to a younger officer. So I look forward to seeing you with Lieutenant Bars in the future. I know we got Sergeant first, okay, one thing first, but I expect to see you wearing your Lieutenant Bars in the near future.
Thanks, sir.
And I appreciate you coming on the show, and thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Yeah. You've been watching Straight Talk with Robert Shelide. Thank you.